Hello, everyone. Welcome to Easy English Daily, where English becomes simple, practical, and enjoyable. Have you ever had a dream, but felt too afraid to chase it? Maybe you wanted to learn English, start a new job, speak confidently, or change your life, but something inside you kept saying, "You are not good enough." Today, you are going to hear a simple but powerful story about a young man who felt exactly the same way. He made mistakes. Effilé. He became discouraged. But one small decision changed everything. As was jullie staan door je word. Listen carefully, follow the story, and repeat useful sentences aloud. By the end of this story, you will learn new English vocabulary, natural expressions, and most importantly, a lesson you can use in your own life. Let's begin. The story, One Small Step. Part 1, A Difficult Morning. It was Monday morning. David opened his eyes and looked at the clock. Il était 6h30. He didn't want to get out of bed. He looked at his phone and saw several messages from his friends. One message said, "Good morning, David. Are you ready for the interview? David Siged." Today was an important day. He had a job interview at a large company. It was the kind of job he had dreamed about for years. But there was one problem. The interview would be partly in English. David could understand English when he watched videos. He could read simple English. But when he had to speak, everything changed. His heart became faster. His hands became sweaty. And suddenly he forgot all the words he knew. David sat on the edge of his bed. He said quietly, "I don't think I'm ready." He almost decided not to go. Then he remembered something his mother had told him many years ago. She always said, "You don't have to be perfect. You just have to begin." David looked at himself in the mirror. He took a deep breath. "Tennis my lead." "Okay," he said. "I will go." Part 2, The Journey. David quickly got dressed and left his house. While walking to the bus stop, he practiced English sentences in his head. "My name is David. I have experience working with customers. I enjoy learning new things. I am hardworking and responsible." He repeated the sentences again and again. But then he stopped. What if I make a mistake? Etour. What if they laugh at me? For a moment, he wanted to turn around. Then he remembered his mother's words. "You don't have to be perfect. You just have to begin." So he continued walking. When the bus arrived, David got on. He found a seat near the window. An older man was sitting next to him. The man looked at David and smiled. "You look nervous," he said. David laughed. "Yes, I have a job interview today." "Oh, that's exciting," the man replied. "Yes, but I'm worried because I have to speak English." The old man smiled again. "Then make mistakes." David looked surprised. "Make mistakes?" "Yes," the man said. "If you are afraid of making mistakes, you will be afraid of speaking. And if you are afraid of speaking, you will never improve." David thought about his words. The man continued. "Every expert was once a beginner. David Smailed." "That is true." The bus stopped. David stood up. "Thank you for your advice." The man nodded. Good luck. David stepped off the bus, and for the first time that morning, he felt confident. Part 3, the interview. David arrived at the company 10 minutes early. He walked into the reception area. A woman smiled and asked, "Good morning. How can I help you?" David answered, "Good morning. My name is David. I am here for a job interview." "Of course." "Please have a seat." David sat down. His heart was beating quickly again. A few minutes later, a man opened the door. "David." David stood up. "Yes." "Please come in." David entered the room. The interviewer pointed to a chair. "Please sit down." "Thank you." The interviewer smiled. "Tell me a little about yourself." David took a deep breath. "My name is David. I have worked with customers for 3 years. I enjoy helping people, solving problems, and learning new skills." Estupendo. He had made a small grammar mistake. For a second, he became nervous. But instead of stopping, he continued. "I am also hardworking, patient, and responsible. I believe I can learn quickly and become a valuable member of your team." The interviewer smiled. "Good." Then he asked another question. "What is your biggest weakness?" David thought for a moment. "My biggest weakness is that sometimes I worry too much about making mistakes." The interviewer nodded. "And what are you doing about it?" "David smiled. I am learning to stop being afraid of mistakes." The interviewer smiled. "That is a very good answer." Part for the unexpected question. The interview continued for another 20 minutes. David answered several questions. Some answers were easy. Some were difficult. And sometimes he couldn't find the right word. But he didn't give up. Then the interviewer asked an unexpected question. "David, why do you want this job?" David looked down for a moment. Then he answered honestly, "Because I want to grow." The interviewer listened carefully. "I want to improve my skills. I want to meet new people. And I want to become a better version of myself." Eposed. "And I know my English isn't perfect." The interviewer smiled. "But I am learning every day." There was silence for a moment. Then the interviewer said, "David, do you know what I like about you?" David shook his head. "You don't give up." David was surprised. "You made a few mistakes during the interview." David's face became red. "But you continued speaking." The interviewer smiled. "That is more important than perfect English." Part 5, the lesson. 2 days later, David received a phone call. He got the job. He couldn't believe it. He remembered Monday morning. He remembered how afraid he had been. He remembered wanting to stay in bed. But he had made one small decision. He decided to go. That one decision changed his life. David learned something important. Confidence does not come before action. Confidence comes from action. You don't become confident because you wait. You become confident because you practice. You speak. You make mistakes. You learn. And you try again. Useful vocabulary. Let's review some important words from the story. On est nerveux. Feeling worried or afraid about something. Exemple. I feel nervous before speaking English. 2. Interview. A meeting where someone asks you questions, usually for a job. Exemple. I have a job interview tomorrow. 3. Improve. To become better. Exemple. I want to improve my English. Faire mistake. Something you do incorrectly. Exemple. It's okay to make mistakes when learning. 5. Responsible. Someone who can be trusted to do what they should do. Exemple. She is a responsible employee. 6. Confidence. The belief that you can do something successfully. Exemple. Practice gives you confidence. Semaine, j'y vu paix. Don't stop trying. Exemple. Don't give up on your English. 8. Valuable. Something or someone that is very useful or important. Exemple. She is a valuable member of the team. Speaking practice. Now, it's your turn. Listen and repeat each sentence. I don't have to be perfect. Pause. Repet. I just have to begin. Pause. Repet. Mistakes help me learn. Pause. Repet. I can improve every day. Pause. Repet. I will not give up. Pause. Repet. Confidence comes from practice. Pause. Repet. Excellent. Now, try to say this sentence without looking. I don't need perfect English to communicate. I just need to keep practicing. Listening challenge. Now I'm going to tell you a short part of the story again. Listen carefully. Donus tred. Juste listen. David was nervous about his job interview because he had to speak English. He was afraid of making mistakes. But he remembered his mother's advice. He decided to go to the interview anyway. During the interview, he made some mistakes. However, he continued speaking. The interviewer noticed his courage and determination. 2 days later, David got the job. Hey! Because he didn't give up. The leçon. There is a powerful lesson in David's story. Sometimes we wait until we feel ready. We wait until our English is perfect. We wait until we feel confident. But that day may never come. So don't wait. Start today. Speak 1 sentence. Learn 5 new words. Listen to English for 10 minutes. Repeat what you hear. Make a mistake. And keep going. Because every time you practice, you become a little better. And one day, you will look back and realize you were improving all along. Final message. If you're learning English right now, remember David. You don't need perfect English. You don't need a perfect accent. You don't need to know every word. You just need to keep moving forward. Une sentence. 1 conversation. Un mistake. Une leçon. 1 day at a time. This is Easy English Daily. If this story helped you improve your English, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and come back for more English stories, listening practice, vocabulary, and speaking lessons. Until next time, keep listening, keep practicing, keep speaking, and never give up. See you in the next lesson.